Disney Plus has lost over $11 billion since it launched. Not $11 billion in revenue. $11 billion gone, burned, vanished into content nobody watched twice. And that's not even the scary part. The scary part is that the same company, in the same stretch of years, still made $94 billion in revenue last year, with $12 billion of that as pure profit. That's not a typo. That's not clickbait. That's the actual, terrifying math of running the most beloved entertainment company on earth. A single streaming bet can burn through $11 billion before anyone admits it was a mistake. A single theme park expansion can cost more than most companies are worth. A single acquisition, timed wrong, can sink a stock overnight, and Disney's stock has actually done exactly that. So what actually makes Disney money? And more importantly, if you owned it, would you get richer, or would you get buried? Let's find out. Congratulations. You just bought Disney. Not a franchise. Not a licensing deal. The whole company. The mouse, the parks, the studios, the ships, the satellites beaming ESPN into 40 million households. All of it. Yours. Here's the price tag. Disney's market value sits north of $200 billion. To actually buy the entire company outright, every share, control of the board, the works, you'd need to write a check bigger than the GDP of most countries on the planet. You'd need partners. You'd need banks. You'd need a level of debt that would make most CEOs faint. But let's say you pulled it off. You wake up the next morning and you own Disney. What changes? Everything, and also nothing. Because the parks still open at 8 a.m. whether you're ready or not. The Disney Plus servers still need to stream to nearly 200 million subscriptions tonight. 77,000 cast members at Walt Disney World alone, the single largest employer at one site anywhere in the United States, still need paychecks by Friday. You didn't just buy a brand. You bought a machine that never stops running, and if you stop feeding it, it eats you first. That's the fantasy. Now here's the reality check. You now employ over 180,000 people worldwide. You are legally responsible for their safety, their pay, their pensions. You operate in nearly every country on Earth, which means nearly every country's regulators have a say in what you can and can't do. You're carrying tens of billions of dollars in long-term debt, much of it left over from acquisitions made by the people who ran the company before you. You are being sued right now, not hypothetically, actually, by someone, somewhere, over something. That's not a scandal. That's just Tuesday for a company this size. You also inherited something less obvious: expectations. Investors expect the parks to keep growing. Wall Street expects streaming to keep adding subscribers. Parents expect the next animated movie to be magic. Miss any one of those, and your stock doesn't just dip, it gets hammered, publicly, in real time, while financial news anchors dissect your every decision. Owning Disney doesn't feel like owning a company. It feels like piloting an aircraft carrier through a hurricane while the passengers film everything on their phones. And here's the part that really messes with your head once it sinks in. You can't actually see most of what you bought. A car company shows you the factory. A restaurant chain shows you the kitchen. But a huge chunk of Disney's value lives in something you can't walk through or touch. Decades of stories, characters, and songs sitting inside people's memories. You didn't just buy factories and hotels. You bought the emotional real estate inside a few billion childhoods. Try putting a line item on that in a spreadsheet. So where does all this money actually come from? Start with the parks, because they're the engine room. Disney's Experiences division, the parks, the resorts, the cruise ships, the merchandise stores, generated around $36 billion last year alone, and threw off a record $10 billion in operating income. That's more than the entire annual revenue of most Fortune 500 companies, coming from 6 theme park resorts and a handful of cruise ships. Magic Kingdom alone pulled in roughly 17.8 million visitors last year, the most of any theme park on the planet, for the 19th year running. Here's the trick nobody outside the industry realizes. The rides are basically the loss leader. The real money is in everything around the ride. A family of 4 walks through the gates of Magic Kingdom, and before they've been on a single attraction, they've already spent on parking, tickets, a hotel room, a character breakfast, a show shaped like Mickey's ears, and a stuffed animal that will live in a closet by March. And here's the number that should really scare you if you're the one paying. Domestic per guest spending jumped 5% last year alone, even as the actual number of people walking through the gates dipped slightly. Disney doesn't sell rides. Disney sells a controlled, immersive world where every exit leads past another thing to buy, and when fewer people show up, Disney just charges the ones who do more. Then there's the content machine, the movies, the studios, the intellectual property vault that includes Pixar, Marvel, Lucasfilm, and the original Disney animation studio. A single blockbuster can bring in over $1 billion globally. But the real value isn't the opening weekend. It's what happens after. A Marvel movie doesn't just sell tickets, it sells action figures, theme park lands, streaming subscriptions, and sequel anticipation for the next decade. Disney doesn't make movies. Disney manufactures franchises, and franchises are the gift that keeps billing you. Now, streaming. This is the newest and messiest revenue stream, and it's the one that nearly broke the company. Disney Plus launched in 2019 promising to reshape how the world watches Disney content. By last year, Disney Plus and Hulu combined had ballooned to nearly 200 million subscriptions. That sounds like a victory lap. It wasn't. Not for years. Building a streaming service that can go head-to-head with Netflix means spending staggering amounts of money on content before a single new subscriber signs up to pay for it. Disney Plus burned through more than $11.4 billion in operating losses since it launched, losses so large they were quietly dragging down the entire company's profit while the subscriber count looked amazing on paper. The turnaround finally came. The division posted an operating profit for the first time in the third quarter of fiscal 2024, a swing from a $512 million loss the year before, arriving slightly ahead of schedule. Then there's sports, primarily ESPN. This is a business built on live rights deals so expensive they'd make your eyes water. Disney committed to spending $44.9 billion on sports rights fees through 2027, everything from Monday Night Football to a new NBA package. Speaking of which, Disney now pays roughly $2.6 billion a year for NBA rights, nearly double what it paid under the previous deal. The bet is that fans keep paying for cable and streaming bundles even as cord-cutting reshapes how the world watches television, and the cracks are already showing. ESPN has lost around 10 million cable and satellite subscribers over the past 2 years, even as it keeps signing bigger checks for the same games. Add merchandising, Mickey Mouse's silhouette on everything from backpacks to birthday cakes, and you start to see the full shape of this empire. Movies feed the parks. Parks feed the merchandise. Merchandise feeds streaming. Streaming feeds the next movie. This isn't 6 separate businesses. It's one flywheel with 6 spokes, and if one spoke breaks, the whole wheel wobbles. So where does all that money actually go? $94 billion in revenue. $12 billion in profit. Over $80 billion disappeared somewhere in between. And here's where it went. Payroll eats the biggest share first. Theme park cast members, movie production crews, engineers, animators, ship crews, corporate staff spread across the globe. Then content spending, because an entertainment company that stops making new things is a company that starts dying immediately. Then construction, and this is where the numbers get almost absurd. A single new theme park land can cost over $1 billion to build. A new cruise ship runs north of $1 billion as well. In 2024, Disney announced it would spend $60 billion over the next decade on park and cruise expansions alone, before a single new guest has walked through a single new gate. Add marketing that costs hundreds of millions before a single ticket sells, insurance for running roller coasters and ships at sea, legal costs for a company that's perpetually being sued somewhere, and taxes paid across dozens of countries, and that $12 billion profit starts looking less like a mountain of cash and more like whatever's left after an obstacle course. And then there's debt, the thing that actually keeps a Disney CEO awake at night. In 2019, Disney spent $71 billion acquiring most of 21st Century Fox's entertainment assets. It was framed as a masterstroke, instant access to more franchises, more ammunition for the coming streaming war. But it also loaded the balance sheet with debt right before a pandemic shut down every theme park on the planet at the same time. For months, Disney's parks, the crown jewel, the reliable cash machine, generated close to nothing, while payroll, maintenance, and debt payments didn't pause for anyone. This is the part every owner needs to sit with. A business this size can be humming along, profitable, dominant, and still get blindsided by something completely outside its control. A virus, a recession, a streaming price war nobody saw coming. The bigger you are, the more surface area you have for disaster to land on. There's also a slower burning danger, public backlash. Disney keeps getting pulled into cultural and political fights over its content, its statements, its business decisions. Every time, it has to navigate boycotts from one side and criticism from the other, all while trying not to alienate the broad, ordinary audience that actually pays the bills. For a company built on being universally loved by families, Getting dragged into the middle of a culture war is uniquely dangerous. It doesn't matter which side is right. Both sides can hurt you. Let's look at the lessons up close. Disney California Adventure opened in 2001 as a second gate next to Disneyland, and it landed with a thud. Guests found it thin, underwhelming. Disney eventually spent well over $1 billion renovating it, essentially building large parts of the park a second time. The lesson: cutting corners on the guest experience doesn't save money. It just delays and multiplies the cost of fixing it later. Then there's Disney Plus in its early years, subscriber growth that looked incredible, financials that looked far uglier, over $11 billion in accumulated losses chasing scale against a competitor with a decade's head start. The lesson: growth without profitability isn't a strategy, it's a countdown clock. And there's the more human disaster: leadership churn. Disney brought back a former CEO in 2022, reversing course after his hand-picked successor's strategy didn't work out. A company this size can't pivot on a dime without leaving expensive wreckage behind. So how does an owner fix any of this? On the park side, the model is already working. Disney's Experiences division posted record revenue and operating income for full fiscal 2024, driven by higher guest spending rather than more visitors, dynamic pricing, premium experiences, extracting more revenue per guest instead of chasing more bodies through the gate. On streaming, the fix was brutally simple in hindsight: stop chasing subscriber counts and start treating it like a business that needs to turn a profit. Price increases, an ad-supported tier, tighter spending. It worked. The combined streaming business turned profitable in fiscal Q3 2024, a full quarter ahead of schedule. On franchises, the fix is discipline: fewer, bigger bets on flagship IP instead of flooding every platform and hoping something sticks. There's one more thing worth knowing, because it's the quietest lever in the entire portfolio: the cruise line. A cruise ship is essentially a theme park that floats, except the guest can't leave for a week. No restaurant down the street, no hotel stealing a night's stay. Every dollar spent on board stays inside the company. Disney is currently pouring billions into expanding its fleet with new ships, because a captive audience, literally, is one of the best businesses in the world. So here's the honest math. On $94 billion in revenue, Disney kept roughly $12 billion in net profit, healthy for a company this size, especially coming off years where streaming losses dragged the whole picture down. Run it well, and you're sitting on one of the most durable cash-generating machines in entertainment. Run it poorly, take on Fox-sized debt right before a crisis, chase growth without profit, get caught in a culture war you didn't start, and that same size becomes a liability. There's no small, quiet way to fail when you're this big. Every mistake happens on a global stage, in real time. So, was buying Disney worth it? Financially, it could make you one of the richest people on Earth. Operationally, it would also become one of the hardest businesses you'll ever run. Because Disney's greatest asset isn't its castles. It isn't Marvel. It isn't Star Wars. And it isn't Disney Plus. It's the emotional connection that keeps generations coming back, again and again. Own Disney, and you don't just own an entertainment company. You own a business that has mastered turning memories into money.